inspired to be a citizen scientist and contribute to the process of research, etc., etc. Okay. Um, I have these two pictures which I just wanted to share with you. My activities back in Universiti Malaya, which I'm also part of the. I'm excited to be part of this citizen science activity. Now the first one here, if you can see, you see the laser pointer. So this is actually a picture of wild banana. Okay, and the photo down here is actually a picture from a workshop which we organized a workshop to undergraduate students on the citizen science and the role of citizen science in collecting information for wild banana species in Malaysia. So there are many reasons why citizen science is important in the context of the project that I'm attached with, which is a banana hunter. We utilize citizen scientists to help us record, track some informations about wild banana, which is very important for breeding purposes. So the one that you have bananas on your plate, that's not wild banana, that's cultivated banana, like berangan, pisang emas, for example. But these banana species, they are actually easily threatened by many threats, like for example uh, the diseases, climate change. So the in terms of the banana, in the context of banana, we believe that by studying this wild banana species, because they are very resilient, we can improve the of breeding process, and we to cultivate new banana species that is more resilient against all these threats. Okay, so that's really just to set the context about what citizen science is. But now, um, thank you so much for to the MC for introducing myself. Yes, I'm actually I did my degree, my doctoral degree in Australia, and then when I moved to Malaysia, came back to Malaysia, I also work with Academy Science Malaysia, and this is where I was very much involved in open science. And I will tell you later that open science is a very big concept, and citizen science is actually a part of this open science initiative or movement. Okay, and also just now I talk about like 5 minutes telling you about the wild banana. So I'm also a co-founder of a citizen science, a banana hunter project, which we started this project in Universiti Malaya. And in fact, actually, we have developed our own very simple localized app, mobile app for the Android users to use this app for the tracking and record of this banana wild banana species all over Malaysia. Okay, so today, so we'll start simple. We'll start with a global perspective about citizen science. And then I will introduce a little bit about the concept of citizen science. And then how would you get started with citizen science? And this is, I think, very, very exciting. And if you are someone not just inspired to be a citizen scientist, but you are inspired to start a citizen science project, then I will introduce you a little bit on this project planning tools. It's pretty much based on some theoretical perspectives, but also I'll be sharing also about my personal opinions based on the experience that I have when we started this banana hunter project, and what will be the way forward for this citizen science in Malaysia. Okay. All right. From the global perspective, there are two. The first thing that I would like to share with you is about this document, which is a very, very important document that if you are into open science, you need to know this document. Okay, you need to read this document. So open science actually started way back, so long time ago, because in Malaysia we know that we are so accustomed with open access, and open access is also an example of open science. But then after that, we see a lot of movement championing towards research data sharing, open data infrastructure, and etc. And that's why under this open science, there are so many definitions. Yeah, and pretty much there's no general consensus about what open science is, because it's a lot of different types of open science. Now, in 2021, so UNESCO has published a very nice recommendation on open science, and which in this recommendation it tells what open science is. So they define open science as an inclusive construct. It combines various movements and practices. So you can see there are many types of open science that are declared under this, open science. Like just now I mentioned open access, open research data sharing, open data infrastructure, and many others. So what is open science? It's really you want to make multilingual scientific knowledge openly available, accessible, and usable for everyone. So the highlight here is that it's a multilingual scientific knowledge. So it's not just about English, for example. You can have different languages. You make them all accessible and reusable for everyone to increase scientific collaboration and sharing of information, and to open the processes of scientific knowledge creation, evaluation, and communication to societal actors beyond the traditional scientific community. This one is very, very important, especially in the context of open science. As we all know, um, science, yeah, in general, I mean, science, it can also refer to pure science or social science. So these both streams, yeah, both main disciplines, in early days, yeah, we see a lot of researchers, actually many researchers, they are literally, they sit in the ivory tower, they do their work, of course, and they publish papers, publish their work in research papers. That's a norm for them. What's not a norm is that the public, society, uh, getting involved in this scientific process, in the process of creating this knowledge. So that's not a norm. Okay. So one of the spirits under this open science is to open up the process of creating this knowledge by having other types of societal actors. So it's not just researchers, they could be the public, they could be the society, to be part of this process and help the researchers contribute together to create knowledge, evaluate, and also communicate. So this is a kind of like a definition that refers to citizen science, yeah, in general. So under this UNESCO recommendation, they define there are four pillars altogether: open scientific knowledge, open science infrastructure, science communication, open engagement, and open dialogue with other knowledge systems. So I think you can go to the website, to the UNESCO website. You can download the recommendation and read. It's a very nice document that tells the whole an overview about what open science is. Okay, this is the one that I mentioned to you before. The four pillars. You can see the green, blue, light purple, and orange. And if you look at the orange pillar, so it says open engagement of societal actors. There are different types like crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, scientific volunteering, and here we have citizen science as an example of open engagement of societal actors. Okay, so the rationale for open science, I think this is very straightforward. This is something that also aligns with the definitions that I mentioned to you just now. But the key points, the key messages that pretty much what open science wants to highlight is about inclusivity, collaboration, and to address complex challenges or questions for the people and planet. I think these are the main keywords, main reasons why we need open science, why we need to champion open science, yeah, at the first place. Okay, another one that I would like to highlight here is the Citizen Science Global Partnership. So UNESCO, just now I mentioned that's they champion the general perspective of open science, but we do have a global partnership specifically on citizen science, and this is what we call as CSGP. So perhaps this is not something that is we are familiar with, yeah, because in fact I mean it's a partnership with a lot of associations, but maybe not with Malaysian. Okay, but this is a unique partnership that supports North and South collaborations. Um, Pretty much, they build on the experience of existing citizen science association, generate new knowledge by complementing traditional ways of scientific data collection and analysis. Now, if you look at this, all this logo, so you can see these are different countries around the world that actually have their own association, and they come together on this partnership. So we have Australia, we have Africa, Swiss. Um, we do hope that who knows one day we could have one association in Malaysia for citizen science, and um, the association can be part of this partnership as well. Yeah, but at the moment, no, we don't have that. Okay. All right. So that's a general global perspective about open science and citizen science. Now I would like to introduce you to citizen science. Um, Now the concept of citizen science is pretty much derives from, if you look at from the scholarly point of view, it comes from uh, the research perspective of public engagement, which you see there's a reciprocal, a mutual um, directions between society and research. So society, if you look at this arrow here, society contribute to the research process to generate new knowledge. And at the same time, research also, the output from the research benefit the society. Okay. So this is the idea of having this, citizen science. You have this mutual relationship. So it's not one way direction. We have two ways directions now. Okay. And having said that, public engagement is, there are many different types of public engagement. As you can see, this is a very nice onion model. Um, what we usually have, yeah, and in all universities or in any educational institutions, we have public lecture, we have festival, social media, podcast, etc. There are many. Okay. And then we also have exhibition, education program, science art. Now, uh, where do you see this citizen science? Okay, now if you look at here, let me just quickly get a pen. Okay, now citizen science actually is somewhere in this area where it's not just about informing society, right? Again, informing is pretty much one way communication, but it's about collaborating. Okay, so the emphasis is on the two-way communication, and we see citizen science or participatory action research, for example. So those are the activities that actually empower this society, the citizens, to be part of this knowledge creation process. Okay. And um, oh, if well, just based on that, now we kind of know already what is citizen science. Yeah, what does it mean? Well, it can go by many names. You can call it as participatory science, community science, volunteer science. So it's, different people, they define it, they call it differently. But essentially, citizen science is a wide range of activities people from all walks of life. So you can be someone who is, a student. You can be just a retired professor or anyone who can participate in a scientific project in a meaningful way. So uh, you are not just a survey respondent, like how we see a lot of surveys being circulated around and they invite you to be part of this survey respondent. You are not also a subjects or participants in a medical experiment, but you contribute to collect the data at least and analyze the data. So that's a role actually that to be played when doing or implementing a research activity, right? And this is the earliest formal citizen science programs. So citizen science is not a new thing actually. So like I say, you can call it in different terms. They might have different names ever since they were introduced back in the late 1800s. But the idea is the concept is same. The concept is you empower the citizens. They are um, you know contributing to the knowledge creation process. Okay, so in the late 1800s, we have a program that looked at the patterns of bird migration and also the bird count by the National Audubon Society. So we see the starting point of the citizen science program, yeah, formalize it through this biodiversity related projects, yeah, that utilize the citizens, yeah, citizen scientists to help mapping all this bird migration or all the, to cite all these birds and record the data. Okay, right. Now, I just want to move on a little bit on the benefits to science and society. So when we talk about citizen science in particular, um, the idea of having this citizen science is, of course, as you can see, when we look at, we get people to help us document birds, or even if myself, I need help for the society to track, inform me or collect data for where the wild banana is. It's not just about getting them to be part of this scientific activities, but what's important actually is to accelerate research process. Okay, because often what happens is that if let's say we take example biodiversity, when you want to collect data, when you want to cite, do the bird sighting, for example, you cannot rely on just a few people to do the very demanding tasks. It's really time consuming, it's quite resource constrained also. So that's why you need many people, a lot of people to be part of the team to help you to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay, so this is why is the one of the reasons why citizen science is important, because we want to accelerate research process. We also want to maximize the use of resources, while at the same time, because we realize that as a researcher, we realize that um, we don't have enough resources to begin with when we want to start doing all this mapping, all this citing, etc. Well, on top of that, of course, for the citizen scientists, as being part of this research process, you have the opportunity to engage directly with the data collection, analysis, and interpretation. So you don't need to be a researcher, formally, yeah, or be a academic staff to do research. You can be a public, members of a public. You can be a citizen, okay, to be involved in the research process. So this is a good opportunity, especially for those who are, you have your own work, you have your own job. At the same time, you have your hobby, your interests to be part of the research. Okay, So this is really an opportunity for those individuals to be, to be part of this research process. At the same time, of course, it helps to promote scientific literacy and reasoning. So by being part of the process, uh, citizens can understand how science works and cultivates analytical thinking. So remember when I say citizen science, they are, who are these citizen scientists? They can be all people from all walks of life. You don't have to be someone who an adult to be, a citizen scientist. You can also be someone who actually a school kid. I remember I actually asked my son whether he's interested or not to be to try a citizen science project organized by NASA program, under NASA, which they actually counted about the project is about solar jet. I can't really remember what the task is. I think the task is quite simple, but for adults, of course. But of course, it's quite exciting for a 7-year-old boy to do this, to be part of the citizen science. And that's the whole idea. You want to expose the people, laymen, with the new concept of science and understand how science works. Okay. All right. I think this is pretty much what I've talked about just now, so I'm just gonna skip this slide. All right. Okay, so very importantly is that, as you can see, maybe you have read somewhere in the newspaper, um, for a country, it's very important for a country that, the citizens, the public actually have interest, or they love science, STEM, yeah, in particular. So citizen science actually is also an effort, yeah, towards promoting the interest in science. And hopefully by having these projects, actually we can um, increase the interest of the public in science in particular. Okay. And to have more positive attitudes towards science. All right. And of course, by having these citizen science projects, it can help to build relationships between researchers and the public. So it's a lot of good um, rewards, when we have these positive relationships between researchers and the public. And one of them, of course, is that the project is designed, it's not just towards, publication, but rather the research project can be designed towards benefiting the public in particular. I think that's very important. Okay. Maybe one more that I would like to highlight here is this one, number 10. So there are some occasions also that citizen scientists are acknowledged, not just through training, participation credit, but they can also have the opportunities for co-authorship in the paper publication. So I think there's a very fair recognition for citizen scientists, to be. I mean, it's not just about part of the process of this collecting data, but they can also be as an author of a paper. I think that's very a rewarding experience also. Okay. All right. Now let's look at from the bigger picture. Okay. So citizen and community, they have their own concerns. So when we have this citizen science, what will happen is that society can actually talk to the researchers. Together with the researchers, they can define a research question. Okay. And so they can be even get involved from the very first place, from defining the research question, doing the research design, gathering data, collecting data, processing, analyzing, interpreting, evaluating, then eventually impacting this policy. And this is something that I think, I really hope that all citizen scientists in Malaysia can think of that way, working towards that direction, because it's not enough to just getting citizens to be part of the data collection process, or even part of this analysis, but what's more important actually to empower the citizens to find out what is the need what is the need or the research question that we need to tackle, because that's more relevant, that is more contextualized to the society point of view, you know, and that has more impact towards policy decision and implementation. Okay, the concept here is, for example, this is a publication that I just simply take it from a paper. So this is an example of how a food system context and how this citizen science can be part of this research under this umbrella of food system. So they can be part on the food literacy, urban growing, yeah, agroecology, processing, food loss, public health, food justice, and being part of this different field or different research aspects of a food system here, they generate knowledge. They eventually leading towards policy impact in terms of the citizens, policymakers, the farmers, impacting the processing, storage, and distribution, and this socio-cultural system and network. So they are depends on the types of the research that you are interested, that you want to contribute. Of course, they will have a different impact pathways eventually. Now, um, how would you get started with citizen science? Okay. Now, first thing is you have to think which theme or discipline that you are interested in. That's for sure. Okay. Um, would you like to take part in monitoring birds? So that's very into biodiversity. Are you interested in assessing air quality? Or perhaps in Malaysia, we have an issue with water quality. Okay. Or interpret handwritten historical documents and letters, for example. So this is very simple project that you want to be part with part of it. Okay. um Citizen science projects, they can be from various disciplines. Just now we talk a lot on biodiversity. We have food. We can also have climate, yeah, water, for example, arts, physics, space. So just now I mentioned about NASA projects, yeah, history, some historical documents, like for example, if there are projects that they want to look into parliamentary hazards, or some things related to the historical books. Social science, biology, perhaps the project is about, you need to sit using microscopes and interpret or write down some information from the slides that you saw on the microscopes. So there are many possible projects that you can think of, when we talk about this citizen science. So once you identify your interests, of course you need to explore them. The best is, of course, if you have your own if you are affiliated to university, perhaps your own university will have some information about citizen science projects. They are already available on campus, or you can just browse it on internet. There are plenty out there. If not, locally, you can also find it somewhere on, you know, on the internet, other platforms, international projects that definitely welcome you as a part of their a team, to be a citizen scientist. So some examples that I can share here is a very interesting one. We have this Zooniverse SciStarter. So I think if you are from librarian, I think you are quite familiar with SciStarter, okay? Because this is championed by if I'm not mistaken, it's by the public library. It's very interesting story about SciStarter, how this public library play a very important role in um, citizen science project and connecting the people, yeah, in doing these CS projects. We have iNaturalist, also biodiversity. In fact, if you can just install the iNaturalist app on your mobile phone, you can actually contribute to by just taking a picture and then you can upload it. If you know the species, of course you can name it. Otherwise, you can just upload it. Make sure you have the location recorded, and then they are actually those who are real experts on iNaturalist can actually help to identify what species is that. Okay, we have Foldit, EU Citizen Science platform, and of course, I mentioned just now NASA Citizen Science. Okay, so these are some examples of citizen science projects. So I took this from the Training of Trainers Data Station Open Science from the Academy of Science Malaysia. We have Aurora Zoos. So the participants can comment on the shape of aurora and its movement, as well as diffusion of aurora from recorded video clips. Participants can also conduct surveys on fowling communities, identify all the organisms growing around the tile. Okay, so this is when I say about opportunity to use the light microscope, and or transcribe the records of persons in prison. Okay, so there are many different types of citizen science project in Malaysia. We have biodiversity citizen science project. There's a lot of lists here that I just simply list down, and I'm sure there's a lot more than this. So there are 10 examples of citizen science projects in Malaysia, and that you can simply go through on the internet and you can contact them. We have astronomy. Of course, Malaysia, we are very much rich with biodiversity. So we see a lot of biodiversity projects out there. Either we record biodiversity or bird species, forest inventory. It's quite interesting one. Yeah, birds. We also have river management as well. So I think this river is also very important, in which you can leverage on the citizen scientists to sample our river, monitor the river, at least on on a regular basis. Okay. Okay. So that's an example. And then, so once you identify your interest, get involved in the look out for the projects, and get involved, be active, and share your experience. So, citizen science is not just simply a project that you simply join and you just keep quiet. The best, the more, the merrier, of course. Okay. So what you can do actually, once you engage in the citizen science, you become part of it, a community, share your experience, because your participation will inspire others. Of course, it will advance scientific knowledge, promote societal engagement. Well, what's really important is to publicize what your to publicize, to promote your activity, your contribution in citizen science, so that you yourself can inspire others and be part of this growing community, right? So now let's think about this. How would you think about, as a citizen scientist, how would you contribute in a citizen science project? Now, you can go as simple as you start with collecting data and you analyze the data. All right, that's a very simple way of the minimum contribution of a citizen in a citizen science project. But you can also go beyond a little bit by working together with the researcher to design the data collection method and working together towards analyzing the data. Or you can co-create. And how do you co-create? This is when you come to the researchers, talk to them, you bring the question, you bring the issue that you feel is worth to be investigated, is worth to be studied. Okay? Because again, you as a public, you as a citizen, you know your context, the local context better than anyone else. That's why if you feel that of course, as a local, you know your place, yeah, and you feel that there is definitely a need to solve the issue, And you see the one way to do it is by having this, citizen science project. This is an opportunity for you. Okay. So you can start by defining a research question or issue. You can have this, put this an issue in your mind and discuss it with the researcher. And together with the researcher, you can work together to, get the information, design data collection, collect, analyze, and towards the end of this process, which is pretty much disseminate the results and discuss the results as well. So having all this, by co-creating the project, citizen scientists is pretty much invested a lot, in a research citizen science project. But at the same time, it also means that the project is very relevant to the issue that you see is very important, that you feel that is needs to be solved. Okay. And when we talk about this co-creation, I would like just to introduce you to this concept of science shop. And this is something that I learned from the terminology that I learned when we went for a visit to the VU Amsterdam, Netherlands last year under this Open Asia Erasmus project, in which in that university they have, of course, they have the units, but the way they run citizen science is they run it in the concept of science shops. And what does it mean is the university will receive legitimate questions and concerns expressed by the citizens. So that is quite different than when usually we heard about citizen science, which we often hear about citizen science is about getting people to help collecting data and analyze data. But here, science shop is a concept of we receive questions from citizens. And then once we receive the questions, of course, how would you address that? You involve academic institutions, researchers, guided students, work collaboratively with civil society. So that's the concept of science shop that I learned in the VU Amsterdam, which once the questions are received, we have students working together with the society. They design the question, design the project, design the how would you collect the data, analyze the data, and disseminate the data. So the concept of science shop is as a meeting place for these actors from different level of experience, and they collaborate to address societal issues. This is a key word that's very important here: societal issues. Often the questions that we receive actually are very contextualized to that certain place. It can be place-based, or it can be a certain societal issues that only are relevant to that particular context. Okay, so it's a very interesting concept. And how do they do that? Actually, they run it as a academic program. I'm not sure if we have that something similar in Malaysia, but I think if you have heard about Sulam, this is also kind of quite similar in a way, because for Sulam project also there are certain projects that actually we have students working together with the society to solve and address meat, for example. Okay, it can be also in the form of internship, or it can also be not attached to any university curriculum or academic program. And science shops can be known as different names around the world, just simply an example that I just put up here. But just bear in mind that I just want to introduce the concept of science shop is just to show you that first, of course, there are different terminologies when we talk about citizen science. And more importantly is we need to start thinking that citizen science is not just about collecting data and analyzing data. Yeah, citizen science can go beyond that, and that also means citizens can be someone who pose a question, who identify the issue, pose the questions, and co-create the project together with the researchers at universities. So this is how powerful citizen scientists are. And I'm sure you all here are someone very creative, and definitely you have already something in mind that you feel, I think this issue is very important to be addressed. So why not I come to this researcher and let's work together to, analyze the issue, find out what's happening, and find out what will be the solutions to the issues. So you can start thinking along that direction. Okay. So don't just, simply wait and see to be part of it. You can be more proactive and be a champion, yeah, to solve the issue that you feel is very important to be solved. Okay. All right. Now moving on to I think the second last topic for today about the project planning tools for citizen science. So just now we talked a lot on the concept of citizen science and how you can contribute to citizen science. Okay, so we see very clearly that citizen science is not just about data collection and data analysis. You can also be part of the co-creation of the project. Now, if you, as someone who would like to start being an organizer, or you want to start initiate your own citizen science project, anyone can contribute with that. Anyone can initiate a citizen science project. It doesn't have to be a researcher to start a citizen science project. What would you do? Okay, what would you do? So first thing, of course, this is just an example which I think is it's a very nice canvas, yeah, so to speak, um, that anyone who would like to start planning a citizen science project must have. Okay, the first phase is to scope the project. Okay, so how would you scope the project? So you need to identify the issue. Okay, how has the issue has changed over time, who is being affected, and then you need to identify the potential stakeholders. Okay, who's getting involved in this issue? It can be your local community. Okay, who will be your partners? What will be your goal? Yeah, when you start this project, what would you need to find to make change? Yeah, so there are many problems, issues that you can identify, but at the end of the day, when you start planning your project, you need to have a forward thinking. You need to start imagine things, in the future. What will be the direction of the project? And that's how you can actually start thinking about, what kind of data that you need to collect to achieve towards that direction. Okay. um Identify what research has already been done on the issue, who already started working on it. Yeah, this is something that you also need to be aware of, because you don't want to duplicate things. And at the same time, your intention is really, you want to make sure that the project is something that is very substantial, that can contribute to solve the issue. Okay, right. Next thing, of course, once you already have your idea, yeah, you know the project roughly, then you can start designing your project. How would you design the project? There are many aspects that you can think of. Now you get yourself very busy. Okay, what are the tools that you need? Okay, so for example, in my case, I wanted citizens to help me to record data for wild bananas. And you know what bananas, where you can find it? Somewhere in the secondary forest. Last time I remember, last year actually, we went to along the way from Tapa to Cameron Highland. So we drove and we just simply parked the car right, at the side of the road along the very narrow hilly roads to test the apps, for example. Okay, so those are the locations of wild bananas. So it's not somewhere near in KL where I'm living now. It's somewhere very far and can be quite unreachable. So what tools that I need so that citizen scientists can help me to record those things? I need an app. That's for sure. Okay. And it's not just simply an app, mobile app, but I need a user friendly app so that the citizen scientists, first they know how to record the images, because to record and characterize banana species, you can't simply just take pictures of banana, trees just like that. There are certain parts of the bananas that are important to be captured clearly, so that we as a researcher, it's helpful for us to identify what species is that. Okay, so look at the leaves, look at the flower, the fingers, the banana fingers, the colors. So those are really matter. So these are the tools that we need, and of course not just mobile app, of course. And then remember, when you take the picture, you need to think of where to store it. So those are the things that you have to think. Yeah, the tools that you need to support the project implementation. Okay, so having said that, you have an app or you have a infrastructure, data storage, etc. You need to think about funding. You also have to think whether, are you going to reward your citizen scientists for every effort that they make. So you need to have these funding needs and options. Research needs. Okay, so start thinking about who's going to sponsor you. Is there any grant funder who can support your costs, for example? Do you need site approval or permit? Perhaps you have to go somewhere in a protected forest. You probably need a site approval or permit. How would you share your results? Okay, are you going to share it in just a paper research publication, or do you feel that the results should be shared to the extent of it will have an impact towards a policy decision? So you have to start thinking along that line. How would you plan to share your data between the members of your team? It's not just about sharing with the general audience, but how about between your team members? How would you share your results? You need to start thinking about that also. And then also be for these citizen science projects, you need to start also thinking about timeline of the project. How long you want to start, how long you want the project to be implemented, from the beginning of the launch of the project until when you want to conclude the project. Okay, so once you have those things ready, and of course you can start doing the project and start thinking about sharing your research findings. This is quite straightforward. This is something that it's really up to you. How would you like to share your findings? Some citizen science projects, they have their own platforms on how to on not just promotion of the project, meaning they use the platform to recruit participants. At the same time, they will also use the same platform to share the findings as well. You can also do that, or what you can do also is you can do by emails, meeting, newsletter, to share the findings from your project with the stakeholders, relevant stakeholders, and the participants. You can present in conferences. You can present your findings to the public. And also, you can also ask the funder if they have specific requirement for presentation also. And after that, of course, for every project, normally you will start have a thinking of how do you plan to create change after your study is over. What is your sustainability plan? What's next, for your project? Okay. Right. Now, speaking about this sustainability plan, sustainability issues, I would say, this is something that some of the points actually quite resonate to my personal experience. For example, is the securing research grants. Okay, so it's not easy to get a quite nice, attractive research grants that can support the implementation for a citizen science project. So that's a real challenge actually. Okay, to have a sustainable funding support for a citizen science project. And besides that is, of course, to recruit and maintain participations of volunteers. Imagine if they are, I think if they are rewarded, I think you'll get more volunteers. But if it's just on a voluntary basis, no rewards or recognition, it's probably quite a bit difficult, to recruit them. Okay, and then the infrastructure requirement. So if you have a lot of data, then you need to start thinking about how would you store the data. So it's a lot of things there: web hosting, domain names, backups. So those are the things that you need to start thinking also. And what would be the software or equipment to be used by the participants for data collection and analysis? Yeah, you can have mobile apps, or if you use, like just now we talk about this biology, you need some like microscope, for example. Or if you do water sampling, so you need a simple toolkit that participants can use for data collection analysis. So these are the things that you need to start thinking, and how would you get that equipment ready and be provided to the participants also. Okay. So just now I talked a little bit about this IT platform. So IT platform actually is a platform that supports the whole research process. So sometimes what happens is that a citizen science project can actually be launched on a platform that the platform so the moment you launch a project on that platform is pretty much helps the founder of the citizen science project to recruit the participants, um, and then get the participants to deposit their data, analyze the data, everything using just that platform. Okay, so it's quite easy and quite friendly in a way, of course. But of course, you need your citizen scientists to be quite IT savvy, yeah, to use that platform too. So having a platform can support the whole research process, which makes it easier for you to, as someone who manage a citizen science project, to manage the project very well. Okay. So this IT platform, any platform, okay, what you can do is you can prepare the campaign for your project, launch it, crowdsource it or recruit participants, collect, consolidate, process, and store the citizens' input, integrate with data, other data and data analytics. You can close the campaign and analyze a policy question. So a platform can be useful for a citizen science project. Um, but of course, the other issue that you have to start thinking is the funding issue as well. How would you sustain, you know, this platform? Yeah, this a platform is a powerful tool for implementation of a citizen science project, but at the same time, you need to have a planning on how would you uh, secure the money funding to make sure that the platform is running throughout the project itself. Okay. This is an example of a IT platforms for citizen science project. So you can just have a look at this one. We have a citizen science platform under the EU, and we also have this at sites at Stream Citizen Science. This is also another nice platform that hosts citizen science projects. Yeah. All right. Um. Okay. So another important one is that as someone who actually wanted to, start this citizen science project, is you need to start thinking about how would you manage your data. Okay. So we have covered about, how would you plan for a project. We have covered about the funding issue. We have covered about the platform. Now you need to start thinking about how would you manage your data. This is a generic example of data lifecycle. Um, so for every stage of this data lifecycle, from planning, collecting, assuring, preserve, discover, integrate, and analyze, each of these data lifecycle phase, there are additional considerations, yeah, for citizen science projects, which may be unique compared to other research projects. So let's just go through quickly, yeah, what other concerns are. For planning, of course, I think this is very much, something that, a tool that maybe some of you might already know is the data management plan. So you can use a data management plan to start planning for how would you manage your data for a citizen science project. And even from the step one, when you want to start planning, you now have to be familiar with your citizen science project. What are the special features? If you look for social science, you need to start thinking about the anonymization, yeah. And if you are, running a project that requires some skills, you need to start thinking about the skills, the experience that citizens might need, when they want to help you to collect the data and analyze the data. Okay. All right. So what are the things that you need to start thinking? The issues. So besides anonymization, uh, think about not just about people. Think about this endangered species, private land. So in any countries, even in Malaysia, if you go for any data collection in somewhere that is protected or somewhere uh, protected forest, for example, you need to have appropriate permissions. Yeah. And of course, another issue is the sustainability issue. So we talked a lot about sustainability issue just now. Okay. And then when we talk about step 2, collecting data, you have to determine what is the data that you need. Okay. And identify software that can be used to manage the collected data. So make sure that the data that's collected is well planned, recorded in a uniform format. Because these are very important. Imagine you will have a lot of data that you will receive from the citizen scientists. And you want to make use of this data very, very well. Okay. So that's why making sure that you collect the right data is very important, because you want to make use of all this data to analyze them, of course, and make conclusive findings, yeah, from the data collection. And then the very important, I think, the issue that's quite common, when we spoke about this citizen science, is how would you determine the quality of the data? Yeah. So there are many ways to do it. You can have participant training, you can have back testing protocols, control values, formats for data entry. So we have certain formats, you have certain values that if they are, some of the collected data, they are out of range, you perhaps can omit the data. The uniform measurement tools, you have expert review, you can use photos for ad hoc validation, etc. So there are many ways, strategies that you can use to ensure the QA/QC of the data. So again, the quality of data is quite a concern for many people when we talk about citizen science projects, because we have, like I mentioned, all walks of life can be a citizen scientist. Okay. So, and of course, different people, they have different skills, um, different knowledge also. Yeah. But all of them will collect the same data. So how would you control the quality? So those are the strategies that you can actually have implement that, yeah, when you start doing your citizen science project. Describe the data. So these are the role of metadata. That's very important. Perhaps some questions that you can address to describe the data, like who collect the data, what does the data include, when, where, etc. Okay. Preserve the data. This is about the storage wise. So very important, interoperability, funding. Okay. Always be selective when we talk about what data that you want to store, because not all data need to be preserved or shared. Okay. And then discover. So what does it mean? How would you make the data set discover and accessible to everyone? So again, this is the role of metadata. Okay. Integrate. So say you have one project, and then you can possibly integrate the data with other different types of project as well. Okay. So make use of what the richness of the data that you have. All right. And analysis, of course, as someone who conceived the idea of a citizen science project, you know the best how would you analyze the data. So develop the strategies to create useful and usable data sets, the techniques to address common problem with the data, and what tools that you can use to, analyze the data. All right. Now, finally, just to end with this citizen science project is always, I think it's very quite crucial, is to evaluate the project. Okay, why the evaluation is important? Because you want to assess effectiveness of this citizen science project. It's quite similar to any project management, not just a citizen science project. Evaluation plan is very important because we want to evaluate first, of course, the effectiveness of it, and we want to improve. Yeah, we want to improve the weaknesses. We want to identify the loopholes, improve the weaknesses, so that we can do better next time. So what you want to find out? 4Ws, 1C and 1E. What, who, when, why, the cultural competence, and ethics. Okay. So when so evaluation is a strategy to plan, implement, and share the results. You can evaluate at any point in a project life cycle, ideally before, during, and after. Who is involved? They can be anyone who has interest in the project. And why you evaluate that? Because again, you want to evaluate the project strength and weaknesses, perhaps the stakeholder needs, and perhaps because of the funder requirements. Okay. Cultural competence, recognition, accurate interpretation, and then the ethics part also. So the reason why you evaluate is because sorry, so that they can be something like, you want to make sure that all these, ethical issues are taken into consideration, and you comply with the rules here. Okay. All right. Final thoughts. We talk about the concept of citizen science and what kind of projects that you can join. Let's say if you want to be someone who actually want to start a project on citizen science, how can you do that? But let's just put it in a general perspective back again. The way forward for citizen science. And this is something that I strongly feel that every one of us here in this room should start advocate for this. Okay. Uh, so how can we advocate for citizen science initiative? We need to have a supportive legal and policy framework. Maybe not legal, but perhaps policy, just to make sure that we can reach this citizen science initiative across diverse domain. We can introduce funding framework that can actively promote and facilitate public participation. So it would be nice to have this, which the targeted research funding actually support this public participation in the research process. And then another nice thing to do also, if we can integrate citizen science data into the policy making process. And of course, to do this, we need to have a good quality data, relevant data, so that the data can inform the policy making process. Foster stronger linkages between national strategies and also policies at the institutional level to ensure cohesive support for citizen science. Perhaps at the moment, I think many institutions have started to introduce the idea of citizen science, and it's about time actually to have the alignment between we are not just doing this at the institution, but rather we need to have this at the national level. Okay. So what else can we do? Establish clear career pathway that recognize the value of citizen science. We have reward, recognition, incentives. We have more people, research performing organizations, not just universities. Any others should also start thinking of, having this citizen science as a concept initiative to be implemented to address locally relevant issues. Okay. Uh, Encourage sustained support from NGOs. Communication, very important. Multi-stakeholder engagement. a dedicated organizational unit or function to support citizen science initiatives. And then another important thing is about capacity building. So to mainstream citizen science into, you know, university, of course, or not just university in the country, we need to mainstream them. And one of them is, of course, we can have that citizen science skills to be embedded in not just academic curricula. We can have it in the professional development program, lifelong learning, just to introduce what citizen science is, and of course to understand what citizen science is all about and how we can start doing it. Okay. um Develop the platform for citizen science. You can have the network. So just now I talked about the citizen science partnership global network, and I think it's about time also for Malaysia to start that kind of association at the national level, and then we can actually build the network not just nationally but also regionally. Okay. And finally is to have the supportive technological and data infrastructure. So imagine again citizen science. Well, we have a lot of data to be generated, to be collected. So we need the infrastructure to support that, and we can embed this infrastructure with the national data ecosystem. So it's not just about like Open Science MOSP. We have this research data sharing. We can also have the citizen science driven project data, and it can be part of this national data sharing to support the long term interoperability and sustainability. Okay. I think that's all for my sharing session. So a few takeaways that I would like to just highlight again based on the sharing just now. It's clear, it's very, very clear that citizen science, they can empower society. So either you can be part of the just, small part of data collection or data analysis, or society can go all the way to co-create the citizen science project and contribute back to the society. Okay. Citizen science, they definitely the projects can offer tangible benefits for research and innovation in many many ways, not just to the society but also to the local context, to the country, and to the, of course, to the scientific community, yeah, through the knowledge generation. Policy institutional supports are critical. So at the moment we see that in Malaysia it's a lot of the approach is very bottom up, so meaning that uh, the movement of citizen science is driven primarily from the citizens themselves or the researchers who are interested to invest their time, their interest in this citizen science project. So we see the importance of having a mix of both, not just bottom up. You should have also have some kind of maybe top down or something, the higher up that's more is more supportive, yeah, to have to implement the citizen science projects. We need to have the data infrastructure to be strengthened, so that more citizen science projects can be implemented, more data can be stored, and of course more eventually we can address more questions, more issues that's relevant. Okay. And future success depends on the collaboration and capacity building. So in that case, as a citizen scientist or future citizen scientist, don't be shy. What we can do, actually, we can talk approach to any researchers to start, collaborate, and at the same time um design the project. Okay. And also in terms of the capacity building, what's important is actually to train the society, to get them aware of the like why citizen science is important. And in fact, I think the webinar that we have today is an excellent effort to raise the awareness about how you can, anyone who can contribute, yeah, to research, to the knowledge generation, and to citizen science. So with that, I would like to say thank you all for lending your ears and listen to the sharing session for today. If you have any questions, of course, you can contact me by email, nurzatil@um.edu.my. I'm more than happy to respond to any questions or comments. And feel free to go through to this Instagram for the project that I'm affiliated with, which is the Banana Hunter project. We started small, and we also hope that we get more support so that we can expand the scope, and hopefully well, eventually contribute to the cause of solving the food insecurity, um especially when we talk about this banana fruits, which everyone loves it. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you all, and thank you also UPM for the invitation. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nurzatil, for the eye-opening and inspiring presentation. So now it's time for Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them through the chat box. Okay, we'll start with the first question from Dr. Tan Tohi. Good morning, Dr. Zatil. Would like to know what IT platform you are using for your Banana Hunter project.
Okay. So at the moment, we have this in UM. We have this internal IT platform that we use to store the data. So we don't actually use the platform to recruit participants. Like just now I mentioned, there are certain platforms that you can launch the campaign, do all the things until the end of the project. So what we have now is we have this IT platform to just store the data only. So how we recruit people is we start very basic. We promote via social media so that they can download the apps, and then they can start to collect the data. Okay, that's a and in University Malaya we have our own internal drive that can support this the needs, yeah, at the actually at free actually. We don't have any cost for that one. So yeah, thanks for the question.
Thank you, Doctor. So we'll give maybe 1 to 2 minutes for other participants in case they are typing any questions. You may also raise up virtual hands in case you want to ask directly. Okay, we have another question from Dr. Tan. What are the maintenance or operational costs to maintain an app for the Citizen Science project?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I guess the cost, it depends on how sophisticated your cost the app is. Say when we tried with Android at the moment, of course, to begin with, because we outsource it to someone outside to start build the app, so cost us less than 10K. But then, say for example, if you want to develop the app for Apple user, then you need to pay annual fees for subscription for that one. So that has to be taken into consideration. I can't remember how much is that, but definitely there's a cost for that. And then it's not just maintaining the app, right? You have to need to start thinking about the storage. Yeah, that's why sometimes a citizen science project, perhaps if it's not too, you don't need a specific app for that. Some some others, what they do actually, they leverage on the existing platforms, existing app out there, like iNaturalist. So if you are into biodiversity, you can create a project on iNaturalist. I'll just type it down here. So you can start a project and everyone can actually put their data on iNaturalist. It's just that the reason why we didn't uh, start our project on iNaturalist is because because we are doing Banana Hunter, so we put some, I wouldn't say module, but a guide, a very simple guide on how to capture the images that we want. And we also have an intention to to own, not to own the data, but rather to have the data accumulated, and we want to do AI recognition for banana. So that's kind of like the forward thinking for the project. That's why we started an app. But it's a nice I mean the objective is good, but it comes with a cost. So that's the one I mentioned just now. uh it has a cost to to run it, to maintain it, uh not just an app features, but rather start thinking about the storage. So if we just started simple, a very simple, citizen science projects, perhaps you can also just consider the app that is already there, exists on on the platform, which may cost you less or even zero. Okay. um yeah, I think that's it. That's my thought on this. Thank you. Any more questions?
Any more questions from the participants? Okay, since we have no other questions, we'll now move on to the next session, which is our lucky draw. So, as a token of appreciation for your participation in today's webinar, the organizer are pleased to offer a Touch and Go e-wallet credit worth RM10 ringgit to 6 lucky participants. So, we'll start our draw now. Can you see the wheels on your screen? Okay, we'll start with our first draw. Okay, congratulations to our first winner. We have 5 more lucky winners. So stay tuned, everyone.
Okay, the next lucky contestants are Yumi Najiha binti Ramli. Congratulations, Miss Yumi Najiha binti Ramli. Next, our lucky contestants. Miss Azila binti Kamar Jaman. Congratulations, Miss Azila binti Kamar Jaman. Okay, we move on to our fourth lucky contestant for today. Congratulations to Nur Ayesha Sazwa binti Muhammad Reziman. Nur Ayesha Sazwa binti Muhammad Reziman. Congratulations. Okay, we continue to our fifth lucky contestant for today. Right. Okay, congratulations to Aini Sakina binti Ahmad Subki. Miss Aini Sakina binti Ahmad Subki. Alright, for next contestant. That is Murin Anak Bala. Murin Anak Bala. Okay, we results. Okay, ini nanti first tadi dah Okay, congratulations to all participants.
Okay, congratulations to all our winners. The organizing committee will contact you after the event. Before we wrap up today's webinar, we kindly request everyone to turn on your cameras because we want to take a photo. Can everyone turn on your cameras? Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate your cooperation and participation for today's webinar. I just want to remind everyone to complete the attendance form, which the link is available in the chat box. The digital certificate will be sent to your registered email after this session. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Just a bit reminder, we will also have a session tomorrow held at Radin Omar Auditorium, a talk by Chief Editor from Nature Journal. So all of you are cordially invited to join tomorrow's session. I guess that's all for today. Thank you so much to Dr. Nurzatul Shaliza Mat Jalaluddin for sharing her expertise and insights. Your knowledge has truly enhanced our understanding of citizen science. We also appreciate the engagement from all participants, your questions. Once again, thank you so much. We wish you success and stay safe. Take care. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.